Market research can sometimes be thought of as out of the reach of small and medium businesses. Too expensive, too time-consuming, and too difficult to understand are some of the explanations for this idea, but these apprehensions couldn't be further from the truth. With today's marketing reality that one needs to be at least somewhat active in the sphere of digital marketing, some business owners and marketers for small businesses can find themselves overwhelmed by the processes, the players, and the tools they need to be familiar with if they hope to attempt to develop marketing plans that are sophisticated enough to stand out from those developed by larger businesses. Hello, my name is Duncan McGregor, the Marketing and Communications Coordinator at Insightrix Research in Saskatchewan, Canada, and your podcast host. In this, our first episode of the second season of Stories of Market Research, the Insightrix Podcast, we're lucky to be joined by social impact entrepreneur and communications consultant Katrina German. With over 15 years' experience in communications, Katrina's worn a lot of hats over the years. Tech startup CEO, fundraiser, digital strategist, community manager, writer, television producer and host, public speaker, trainer, and author. Recently, Katrina was the recipient of the 2018 Women in Communications Award from Women in Tech. She's in the CBC's Future 40 Under 40 and was a delegate to the G20 YEA Summit in Berlin in 2017. In her work as a consultant, Katrina collaborates with small and medium-sized businesses to help them develop their digital marketing strategies, and she's the author of a valuable resource for small and medium businesses who are looking to develop a solid digital marketing footprint or to augment the one they currently employ. Her book, Action Tracking, Master Your Digital Marketing Strategy in Under 30 Days. I sat down with Katrina German for a short while to talk about some of the skills, practices, and tricks she lays out in action tracking to help small and medium businesses develop digital marketing strategies, and to get some answers to questions about how SMBs can both do their own market research and how they can access research from market research agencies, both affordably and effectively. Metrics development, data gathering, and getting your messages to break through the digital clutter. All that and more on this episode of Stories of Market Research, the Insightrix Podcast. We're here with our guest today, Katrina German. Thanks for being on our podcast today. Really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm excited.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
In your book, Action Tracking, Master Your Digital Marketing Strategy in Under 30 Days, you speak about the importance and the value of digital marketing for small and medium businesses. Perhaps you can go into that a little bit for us.
Yeah, well, I think, everybody knows that the buyer's journey has changed significantly. In the past, you'd kind of ask, you'd maybe shop around, you get a lot of your information from the salesperson. But now we're in the position where people are, maybe they'll ask their friends, but most often they're going to Google.
Yeah.
And from there, they're going to look at reviews. They may see your social media and, be inspired to go look at your website because they're like, actually, I do need that. But really, the beautiful part about being a small business right now is that all of that data and all that information that's coming from social media and from search is available to you. So you can actually make good decisions and meet people where they are, right? Yeah. And catch people when they're in the mood for your service. Because, I have this belief that entrepreneurs and small business people, they start their businesses because, they want to make the world a better place in some way, right? Yeah. They want to either create a service or a product that's better and contributes to people's lives. Yeah. And so this is just something that gives you the data to which you can make informed decisions and actually reach people when they need you.
Yeah, because there's a lot of tools out there that small businesses can actually access to do a lot of their market research while they're marketing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Stuff like CRMs or Customer Resource Management. CRMs is what we always call them anyway.
I call them client relationship manager, but I don't know if that's right.
That's it. Yeah. We all throw around the term CRM. We know what it means, but stuff like that. You've got social media websites, and believe it or not, you've got AdWords is a really good one that gives a crazy amount of metrics, right?
Absolutely.
So that can be kind of, what's the best way to say, overwhelming for a lot of people, especially if you're a small business and you're really good at doing the business, but maybe not so great at managing it. Or you may not have a great idea what marketing is, right? Where's a good place to start? What's a great place to jump off?
Well, yeah, maybe I'll just, I'll talk about a lot of the things I have in my book.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, we'll just dive right in there.
Yeah, that's great.
Because it is a lot of research based. So for me, the very first place I think you should start start is in Google Keyword Planner.
Okay.
And this is part of AdWords. It's part of the Google Ads suite. You just go into tools and it's there. And basically, it's just the list of everything that people are searching for. So Google has it as a tool for you because they want you to create ads based on that information. You can be using that tool as a way to be like, what are people actually searching for? And if you find those exact terms and write them down, because one of the issues with a lot of small businesses is that, we have our own ways of describing what we do, right? We talk to our own people and, we have your internal terms.
Like
and
CRM.
CRM, exactly, right? But when people are looking for you, what is it they say in their mind and type into Google? And you can actually find that data. So the very first place is to start there, and it's something that can take as little as 20 minutes, for you to get in and take a look around and just get a good sense. Here's a good term for me to be using. To hours, because it kind of becomes a bit of a rabbit hole. You kind of get in there and it gets exciting because you're kind of like, you learn a ton about your business, not just your marketing, you learn just a ton about your business and what people want, for your services, and it can really inform the future of your business too, not just your marketing.
Yeah.
So I always say start there because you're going to get those terms and you're going to understand. From there, I recommend people take it to Facebook, take their messages. So say, for example, you're selling coffee, right? And the words keep coming up and there's certain beans or something, you can then look and say, you pick all the top terms. So let's say there's something about beans and there's something about, the habit of coffee in the morning. People are like, what's the best coffee for the morning? Things like that. There's going to be a bunch of terms that are going to come out there and they're going to probably surprise you. Take those, put them into marketing messages over on Facebook. And what I always recommend is that you do it's almost like a head-to-head competition where you have 10 different messages and you leave the pictures the same, you leave everything the same except for the messaging, and you test them all at the same time. And that way these are the messages that are going to cause people to actually take an action and click through to my website because that data is all on Facebook.
Yeah.
And, you can be using there's all sorts of places, you can use LinkedIn, you can use Google Ads, you can use all those, but Facebook's,
their back end's amazing.
And people really think Facebook is their personal newspaper.
Yeah,
it's not.
They really do.
It is a massive marketing platform. That's the entire structure of it.
That's the point of it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they are trying to make it as easy as possible for you to set up ads and to measure them. So basically, if you do your 10 in messages, measure them. Again, too, and I'm talking about the thing you want to measure for is your click-through rate, especially when you're a small business, because really having your brand out there and having people like and engage with your stuff, that's all really nice and good. That should be contributing to what you're doing too, and that's sort of a long-term plan
Lift
around.
Is great,
right? Exactly. But really, when you're a small business, that's not going to feed your family. No. You need people who are going to be clicking through and buying, and so you really want to be focusing on those messages. What are actually causing people to click through to your website and actually take a look at your services? Because those aren't just the tire kickers; those are people who are actually interested in what you're offering.
So you really want to track behaviors.
Exactly. Yeah. Thus action tracking, right?
Exactly.
So then after you test that, you're going to find, and this often happens, you'll have 2 or 3 of those messages that really rise above. You'll get, and I actually recommend that you only do $3 a message for a week. That's enough time to really figure out kind of what's going to get people to take action. Yeah. And it's cheap experiment.
Cheap. Yeah.
And basically you're going to have 2 or 3 messages that are going to rise above. You'll get 30 clicks on one of them and 4 on another. So the ones that are low, just get rid of them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's not working, get rid of it.
Exactly. These are not messages that appeal to your ideal audience. Yeah. So then you pick your top ones and you can play with them. I usually do a round of testing just to refine those messages. See if I can say them in a slightly different way that can get it to cost about $1 to have us click through.
That's not bad.
That's the idea. Yeah. That's a really cheap user acquisition. Now, it doesn't always work to $1. Some of my clients will, it's $7. That's as cheap as we can get to someone to their
Depending
website.
on your keywords, right?
Exactly.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Your keywords and also your clients and who they are, where they are, that kind of stuff. They might not really be that online, but most people are. And
that's true.
But a lot of my clients are 30, 40 cents to get a potential user to their website. And that's huge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, your third step after you refine those messages, you're going to have some 2 or 3 that come out that you're like, yes, these are the beauties. Then you want to test your photos. And that's always a fun one because you never know what people are going to.
People react differently to images.
Exactly.
They really do.
Yeah, there's going to be some, and the funny thing I've been finding is, we all have this inclination as businesses to have these really high-end corporate looking, but people seem to respond to just the iPhone photo of, something a little bit unusual, something funny, where you're...
social media effect, right?
Exactly, yeah. People are used to seeing those types of photos, and so they're attracted to them, so they tend to click through those more. And if you want to, you can also take it one step further and test the call to action. Are you asking people to learn more or shop now? That kind of stuff. You can test that too if you feel like taking it that far. But what you'll find is by the end of this, you end up with this beautiful message that is going to cause people, you know exactly the photo, exactly the message that's going to cause people to get to your website. So that's basically where I would start around social media. Now, don't get me started on websites and email.
Well, email is actually another really great way for businesses, especially small ones, to connect to their client base, correct?
Absolutely. Really high return. Like it's social media kind of fishing a little bit, whereas email, those are people who are already engaged, interested in your topic. You know that.
That's fishing with an F, not a PH. Though.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely. And email has a really high rate of return. So if you're kind of a referral business where you get a lot of your businesses through referral, email is a really strong way to do that. And basically, email is just, it's kind of that superpower that a lot of businesses forgot. A lot of businesses never get to the point where they have email plans in place. And the cool thing about today is that there is so many email automation softwares out there. MailChimp is a good example. Infusionsoft is very expensive and a really big program, but if you're having a huge email program, a huge email plan, they're a good option. There's just a ton of them out there, and various price ranges from
they go tens of thousands to free.
I think exactly,
right?
yeah. And basically you can set up an email process and you set it up once and let it run. And again, the beauty of it is you can see how effective it is.
It's all giving you good metrics.
You can look at those numbers and say how many people are opening this and how many people are clicking through, and basically it almost becomes a new salesperson for you because you are connecting with people and giving them, ideally giving them information they really want, so they like your business more and more and want to open your emails.
Awesome. So in effect, you're doing your own market research and you're doing it on the cheap, and that's great.
Absolutely.
Every time you're into small business or a medium-sized business, if you can do something on the cheap, so much better, right?
Exactly.
Increases your margins.
Yeah, exactly. Increases your margin. Plus, you learn a lot about your business and what people want from you.
So what do these metrics tell you? Like, how can you use them to benefit? I know that's a bit of a broad question, but if you're just starting with a small business and you're starting your digital marketing plan, you end up with all these numbers now. How can they inform your marketing plan?
Well, and that's also the other thing too, is that there's so many numbers that you can be looking at, right?
You start drowning in them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my goal with action tracking particularly is really like, here's just some, here are 5 numbers you should be focusing on, and looking at your funnel.
That's excellent.
And, and just keeping it clean. There's a million things you can learn, but like how do you just kind of minimize that so it's not overwhelming? There's a lot of things you can learn, like, like from the keyword research, what are people are searching for?
Click-through rate.
There's also, and I often will do quick equation, cost per click. I put $21 in this, I got this many clicks back, and that's how you figure out, that it costs $1 to get someone to your website.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you can dive so deep into this. It's that you can pretty much learn anything about your market from social media analytics.
Yeah, and that'll really start to inform your ROI, right? A lot.
Absolutely.
It starts to let you know that you're putting this much work into your marketing. How much am I getting out of it? Especially when it comes to digital marketing. You can do it cheap, but it doesn't mean you can do it cheaply effectively, if that makes sense. Absolutely,
and that's the idea. You don't want to just be throwing stuff up. Like, this deserves some deliberate thinking and some deliberate planning around too. And you put a couple of months of work into it, and then
Yeah.
And things will change slightly, you may have to tweak here and there, but ultimately you can just be watching your numbers and be all of a sudden oh, wait a minute, our website is not performing as well. Let's make a little tweak on our website and see if it can do better. And so it becomes less of a daunting thing. If you set it up right, take a couple of months, or under 30 days you can do the system and then just tweak, and kind of watch how it all shakes out. And again, to your point about return on investment, is that you can also do some prediction, right?
Oh, right.
You can know that, hey, if I'm going to put $500 into my social media, I can expect to have this much out at the end of it, because I know that I'm sending this many people to my website, that my conversion rates there are approximately this, and here's the amount of revenue I can expect out of each client. So it's a bit of a process, but it's it's so worth it because you can start to predict your revenue and whether it's worth putting money into certain parts of the your social media plan.
Yeah, and totally. If you're working in small business marketing or sales, that kind of thing can really help you a lot when it comes to starting new marketing efforts, beginning new campaigns, and justifying them to your management.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I want everybody who's working within a bit small business to be able to go to their boss and say, hey, I personally, like our social media plan increased sales by 30%. I can show you those numbers.
And marketing's notorious for proving ROI. So it's really nice to have solid metrics that you can get yourself to prove it.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of social media. It's all there.
Yeah,
it's not a guess. It's not like, a billboard or something where you're like, hey, I think this is a return. Yeah.
Now, there's other forms of market research that are available to small, medium businesses that are available through agencies like Insightrix that actually small, medium businesses can access to at an affordable cost. Stuff like syndicated research and omnibus research, actually, is a really good way to start, too. Have you ever looked into syndicated research a great deal?
Well, I have one of my clients, actually, I have a really, really cool kind of story about that sort of thing.
Great.
Yeah, he was able to invest a little bit into some research before he even started his business. And there was a little, some focus groups and, and then put together into a really beautiful marketing package.
Oh, wow.
And, an idea of here's what people,
custom research
exactly, and here's what people can expect, and here's what you think that the pain points, of creating this business are going to be based on people's response to the idea. It was fascinating because we started off with that paper and then, we still went through the action tracking process and, we were doing all of the actual activities around the marketing, and there was an absolute correlation. You could see, almost, word for word in some cases, the statements that were coming out in social media were very similar to the market research done ahead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was really, it was really quite a fascinating thing of just seeing that, that value, right?
I can see that as being super beneficial. Yeah, and stuff like syndicated research, like I said, it's a really great way. Like, maybe you don't have the money for that custom research project that maybe your client had, but if you know the field that you're in, there are tons of companies out there, like Insightrix, that produce syndicated reports all the time that speak directly to your field. So you can access those pretty affordably.
And one of my things, I actually use Insightrix reports quite often because you guys do the social media usage in Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
and so, things like that, just getting a hold of that report was very valuable in terms of when you're making a prediction about which social media platforms in which to be posting on, because, again, small businesses have limited amount of time and effort. And so I actually recommend that you can get all your names on all the different platforms that you want to, but I always say, just put, like, if you're on Twitter and you don't want to be there because you don't have the time or the money to be putting into that, and it doesn't make sense, just putting a little note saying we're more active on Instagram or whatever the case is, come over and meet us there. You can still post to those places occasionally, but, just keeping it clear that you have one place that you're really putting your attention. Now, to figure out that place, a great basis is going to research.
Reports,
exactly. And I use one of the states like Pew Research. They do too. Yeah, they do a lot of that, and it's available online. A lot of this, the surface stuff is available online, and then if you want to dive deeper, you can generally purchase. So, absolutely worth it. And I use all of that to basically predict which platforms are going to be the best for my clients to be posting on.
Another good option for folks who are in small businesses working on smaller budgets is omnibus research. We do our omnibus survey every month called the On Topic, where we ask people in Saskatchewan custom questions through our online research panel. Companies can actually access that quite reasonably, and it's available from a lot of different research agencies. So if you're a small business, that's something else to look into.
Perfect resource.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great resource to validate your own research. So if you've done a bunch of your own desk research and you need to figure out, okay, this stuff seems to be working, but what could I do to make it better? Omnibus research is great. You ask a couple of questions, you're out a couple $100. You're validating, now you know.
You get the answers.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there any new digital marketing trends out there that we should all be looking out for? Because I know you're right on the cutting edge of a lot of this stuff, and I wanted to ask you about this particularly.
Well, video's been around for a while, but it's
king,
still,
right?
but everybody, so that's not really a new trend, but it's still just, it just has great returns, right? And, as people are getting more into the live video, Facebook Live, Instagram stories, all that
Periscope
kind of stuff.
Like that.
It all it definitely is an impact. An interesting one. Now, this is very cutting edge. This isn't necessarily even to do with analytics or marketing research, but just an area of marketing, online marketing trends is as augmented reality. A lot of the big people are starting to create very cool projects. Products where basically you look through your phone, at something, and you can see like exactly, and you can see, someone playing basketball, instead of it just being a poster, you can actually see actions, and it's awesome. A really neat way to catch people's attention and to really, just take your online marketing to that next level. But it's a bit tricky to create, but there are a lot of cool companies out there who are doing things like that. And
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about content online as well, because it used to be 5 years ago, you could just shotgun content out onto there and improve your SEO like that. Nowadays it's sort of changed a little bit with Google's way to crawl stuff. It's looking for higher quality, like you were saying, video content, augmented reality content, stuff like that. Is there anything relatively inexpensive that a small business could do to get high quality premium content?
So, again, if you, for
Video.
me, the ideal blog post looks like a video and then a long form blog post after it. Because,
long form.
Yeah, because a lot of people in the past were, kind of doing the short ones. Here's some short clips, and people like that. They like jumping in, seeing the stuff. But right now, Google's algorithms, and this could change at any time.
Yeah, give it a minute.
Exactly, yeah. What they're doing is they're actually watching to see how long people are spending on your website. So when you search something, what's the best coffee?
Yeah.
And you get sent to a page. You go and check that out. Now Google's watching, not actually watching, but their algorithms are, seeing how long you're spending on that site. Do you leave right away, because it doesn't meet your needs, at which point they won't send further people there. But if you go in and you read for quite some time, it means they're like, okay, we did it. We answered this question. So in my book, I actually call the algorithms librarian spiders.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I would steal that.
That's how I imagine them running around,
Yeah.
trying to find the right resources for you. And basically, if they feel like, hey, we did it, they tell all the other librarian spiders, we did it.
That's a good way of looking at
Send
things.
everybody here.
Yeah.
This is the right place to answer this question. But if you're sending a bunch of people to your website and it's not answering the question, they're leaving right away, they're disappointed in the site, for whatever reason, that impacts the way how many people Google sends your way.
Those short posts, and Google's reading that as somebody who didn't find their answer rather than somebody who actually maybe got an answer quickly. So keeping them on the site's a really good move.
Yeah, and instead of doing 4 points for your answer, do 8.
Now you're currently working on a video training package for action tracking. Could you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, well, basically, in the book, it's a lot of, you can use Google keyword research, in Planner, you can set up Facebook ads, but a lot of people, maybe aren't comfortable doing that, right? They don't know how to maybe get into Google, things like that. So in putting together, it's a really step-by-step, here's exactly how you do each of the steps of action tracking. So the idea is that you can basically follow along and do it right alongside the video and have everything set up in under 30 days.
That's awesome. Do you have a timeline on when you think that's going to be in the near future so people can get a hold of it?
Yeah, the goal is by early April.
Awesome. And you can get that on katrinagerman.com?
Yes, you bet.
Excellent.
Yeah, there'll at least be a link there.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. In fact, all your contact information to your website, how to get your book, all that jazz, I'm going to be putting it on our website so people can be able to access that a lot easier.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
No, that's great.
Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. We learned a lot. It was a short, quick interview, but I really appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks
Awesome.
for asking me.
Thank you.
The 2018 Saskatchewan Social Media Report is now available. The 2018 report gives you access to both qualitative and quantitative regionally specific social media data trended from 2016 to give you an accurate and representative snapshot of social media usage over time, as well as the usage of social media by demographics. The 2018 Saskatchewan Social Media Report is an indispensable tool for targeted digital marketing intelligence in the Saskatchewan marketplace, and it's now available for purchase on the Insightrix website. To purchase the report or for more information, go to insightrix.com.
And there you have it. I'd like to thank Katrina German for coming on the podcast and sharing her knowledge and experience. If you'd like more information about Katrina or to contact her, visit her website, katrinagerman.com. There, you'll be able to find more information on her book, Action Tracking, Master Your Digital Marketing Strategy in Under 30 Days. If you're the owner of a small or medium-sized business, or if you're employed as a marketer at one, you owe it to yourself to check it out. And of course, we'd like to thank you, our loyal and rapidly growing fan base. Your patience while we geared up for Season 2 was much appreciated. For Season 2, we are geared up to produce even more episodes with even more international and national guests, to give you even more of the information you need and the stories you crave about the field of market research. And while you're online anyway, please take the time to rate and review the podcast in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or whichever podcast app you prefer listening to the show. It'll get the podcast in front of more people like you, folks with an interest in market research. And while you're at it, why not subscribe? That way you'll be sure never to miss an episode. If you'd like more information about the Insightrix programs or products you've heard mentioned in the episode, like omnibus research or syndicated reporting, head over to www.insightrix.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back in a few weeks with another episode of Season 2 of Stories of Market Research, the Insightrix Podcast.